It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows, Killer Food Plots,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Antler Action,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
Tom's Custom Turkey Calls,
and Badass Slingshots.
Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. I'm host Mike Adams, sitting in the cabin. We're back in the studio. It's been, 2 weeks?
2 weeks. Last week we were out on a shoot.
On the road?
Yeah, we were out on the road. This week we're back. And you know what? It's been 3 weeks since a particular vote in this great state we have.
Oh, boy, you're going to jump right into it, aren't you?
We're going to go right for it because, he's laughing. He can't contain his excitement, and it's like I said, we got to give him a couple weeks to cool down because this is going to be great.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. Introduce our guest tonight.
Everybody, welcome Lincoln Rohn from Michigan's Let 'Em Go, Let 'Em Grow. How you doing, bud?
Hey, guys. How you guys doing tonight?
Oh, we're doing fabulous. Doing really well. Right. The better question is, how are you doing?
Doing well.
See, he's calmed down. Yeah. This is the nice Lincoln. Everything's good.
Yeah. Well, I kind of know, he had something that he wasn't particularly happy with. I've had some of the same issues this weekend. I was actually told to go kill myself.
You were. I was proud of you. And I tell you what, that was, I never laughed so hard when I was on the road watching that post, how somebody can, out of the blue, come out and tell you, go shoot yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, really?
Right. So, but...
yeah, that's ridiculous.
So is the outcome of one of our votes here recently, Lincoln. For those of that maybe don't know what we're talking about, give a short little history of what vote took place here in the state of Michigan with the Natural Resource Commission here a couple weeks back.
Well, at this past month's meeting, the DNR had recommended there was a couple of things happening. The Northwest 12 was brought forth to have the sunset removed on the antler point restrictions, and then part of that recommendation from the DNR also included antler point restrictions, a 3 on a side for the TB zone, and we were also petitioning the NRC, and the DNR originally to expand antler point restrictions basically statewide, with the exception of the core, CWD areas,
right? The
core zones from CWD. So we were moving forward through this whole thing. I was on the R3 committee, which is the retention, reactivation, and recruitment of new hunters, and on this committee, and there was a big survey done. And that was kind of all part of where this whole thing started for this year and what we believed was going to happen. Well, it didn't happen. And despite all of the positive information that was collected that supports antler point restrictions along the way, the NRC failed to act. And number one, they used the excuse for the TB zone. They didn't implement it in the TB zone. They used the excuse that there wasn't enough scientific evidence supporting antler point restrictions. But they talk out of both sides of their mouth because there is scientific data that is supporting of antler point restrictions, and they just fail to recognize that data.
Right.
And then also they banked on scientific data. Where was the proof that not? There was 2 counties that the DNR also recommended to implement the baiting ban, or to re-implement the baiting ban. Mm-hmm. I think it was Iosco and Pure Isle, something like that.
Presque Isle?
I think it was, what was it?
Was it Presque Isle?
Presque Isle, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So those 2 counties were recommended to have the baiting ban reinstated. Well, the NRC basically took it upon themselves to remove that from the recommendation and allow baiting there. In sight, they wanted to be more in line with the ag, the ag community. Well, listen, there's scientific data. There's not a biologist in the world that wouldn't agree that baiting is not good for the spread of disease. Mm-hmm. I mean, all you have to do is even just think about it for a minute.
It's simple as that.
It is, and so they chose to ignore scientific data, which there is a lot of it supporting that baiting is not good for a disease zone, or helps in the spread of disease. They ignored that and said, yeah, we're not going to do that. But at the same time, they cite lack of scientific data when there actually is supporting data to not implement APRs in the TB zone. So not only did we not have any commissioner come forward and put an amendment to expand APRs, but they didn't implement it in the TB zone. So really the only thing we walk away with is they only because they pretty much had no choice, they lifted the sunset on the Northwest 12.
Okay.
What
does that mean for it?
Basically, they made it permanent.
Okay.
And so, which is a huge win. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, those guys work their butts off, and they deserve to be recognized. And they've done a fantastic job. 76% of the people that were surveyed approved of the Northwest 12 being, having the sunset lifted. So that's unbelievable. I mean, you can't get 76% of people to agree that deer are brown, let alone to agree on regulation. I mean, it's just incredible that they have that kind of support. So, all of the data that we've given, and not even that we've given, we've shared all this data, but this is data that's come straight from the DNR. So it's not like the commissioners don't have it. Mm-hmm. We're talking, a lot of these counties now in the Northwest 12 are now shooting more 3-year-olds than they are 2-year-olds and year-and-a-half-olds combined. Mm-hmm. The bucks are bigger. The hunters are happy. The hunters are more engaged. Talk to anybody. I mean, out of the thousands of people that I've talked to from that hunt in the Northwest 12, I have literally talked to one person that didn't agree with it.
Right.
And it wasn't because of that. And it wasn't because it wasn't working. It was because he didn't like being told that he couldn't, shoot whatever he wanted.
Right.
So to say we're disappointed is an understatement. I mean, we were kind of led down the road that, and they also kind of stated that we didn't have a proposal in place. Well, the reason we didn't have a proposal in place is because we were led to believe that they were going to make big changes this year mm-hmm. with this R3, committee. They were committed. They committed to us. We said, listen, at the end of this survey process, if it comes back that antler point restrictions are indeed supported and will make a difference, will you implement them? And mm-hmm. they absolutely did not hesitate, said yes. We are prepared to make some big changes. So out of all the questions that were asked through in these focus groups in this R3 survey, from changing opening day of gun season to, different seasons, different regulations, the only thing that they took away from that was that antler point restrictions were supported by younger hunters and that they would indeed hunt more if there was antler point restrictions in place. and that 57% of the people were in full support. And I don't have I'm sitting on the side of the road, so I have service here, but I don't have my papers in front of me. But it was like 28% or 30% did not support, and then there was 12% that had no opinion.
Right.
And so when they calculate that, they actually remove those 12% with no opinion because they're neutral; they don't care.
Right. Okay.
And so it's like, I mean, out of the people that care, it's like 70% are in full support of it. So
right.
it's beyond me why nothing was done.
Okay.
And especially, go ahead.
I was going to say, looking back at what happened and the reasons why we think it happened or they did happen, do you think this was more of a political move, political pressure?
Well, I don't know what else it could be. And the Natural Resource Commission is supposed to be the political end of it is supposed to be removed from that.
Exactly.
With Proposal G. Well, based on everything that we've heard and the commissioners said along the way, it is totally political.
I find it hard that it's not political looking at their backgrounds.
Yeah. So, and to hear some of the commissioners' reasoning, I mean, I was sitting there in disbelief that some of this stuff was coming out of our commissioner's mouth. I mean, one of them said, they have to wear 3 hats that day. The hunter hat, the commissioner hat, and the farmer hat. And she chose to side with the farmers. not as a city natural resource commissioner, but as a farmer. And then another high-level DNR official, and I'm trying not to single anybody out, but says, we have to have the ability to shoot or to call out the spike horns, and so you can't put a what? Well, you did not just say that, did you?
He did.
In today's what we know about this today, you're going to cite that?
Yeah, it's.
I mean,
I heard that
I
about fall on my chair. Yeah.
And then another one says there was not enough scientific data or not enough. They were with a TB zone. They were looking for a hoped result, not a proven result. Well, I don't know how much more proof you need. That I mean, so the Northwest 12 harvests 13% more does than any of the surrounding areas, and that overall is what the goal is in the TB zone.
That was going to be my next question. Talking about the Northwest 12, you guys active. It's not just about shooting older bucks, what some people call trophy bucks. It's also about buck to doe ratios, and your area takes more does typically than any other area. Am I right?
In the Northwest 12, yeah. Their doe harvest is 13% higher than anywhere else in the state.
Right.
But yet that's not good enough.
In zones that they have unlimited doe permits. Mm-hmm. They're shooting more does in the APR zone than they are in areas with unlimited doe permits. So, by default, when people cannot shoot yearling bucks, they automatically, by default, will go to the next best thing, which is a doe. So it just happens when you implement an antler point restriction. There's a lot more pressure put on does. So plus, I think that a lot of the people in the Northwest 12 that have seen how this is working, I think that they are a little more on board with actually managing our deer herd and taking responsibility for managing the herd. And I think they understand the importance of doe harvest. So it just totally makes sense. You have in the Northwest 12, they have, not only are they, and it's definitely not all about the trophy. It's about a more balanced herd, a healthier herd. It's about higher doe harvest, and it's about hunter engagement. And that's the other thing, key factor that the NRC is not taking into consideration, and that is hunter engagement. They don't have any hunter engagement in the TB zone. They have zero. I mean, as a matter of fact, I have spoken to several people from the TB zone that are absolutely beside themselves because not only did they not get antler point restrictions, but they lost the hunter's choice. So now they have nothing. Now they're right back to the way they've been doing it for the last 20 years, which clearly is not working.
Right, exactly. What's the old adage? Doing the same thing over and over again.
Taking a step back.
Yeah, and expecting different results is insanity, and that's kind of what we're up against.
Exactly.
I'll tell you what. Let's take our first break here and save a little bit of time because I want to turn you loose in the second segment here, and think about this, Lincoln. What we want to know coming back is where does your group stand now, and what do you do knowing this information, and how do you move forward? So let's think about that. Okay. Step outside. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Hey, welcome back. Second segment of the show, everybody. Sitting there talking with Lincoln Rohn, talking about APRs and what had happened with the NRC meeting. Before we went to break, Lincoln, I asked you that question about, where does your group stand now? And you've had a couple of weeks to kind of sit back and think about it. What's the focus? What's the direction now? And where do you go?
Well, basically, and again, it's been good to kind of sit back and reassess and reevaluate, and maybe just take a couple of a week's break from everything. And basically, what our plan is moving forward is, I've been talking with the Department of Natural Resources kind of on a side note, and you're gonna hear about this in the upcoming August Natural Resource Commission meeting, and Chief Russ Mason is going to make an announcement, and I think it's pretty important that people stay tuned for that. And he has alluded to it in past meetings, but what is going to be announced is a pretty big deal. So
okay,
keeping an ear out for that. So taking that into consideration, and I don't want to disclose exactly what's happening at this point, but
sure.
It's good.
What's the date on that they're going to make their announcement? You said August what?
I believe it is August 10th.
10th, okay.
I think it's August 10th, but it's in Jackson this month. So
okay.
And you can look it up on Natural Resource Commission. They have a separate section on the DNR website. You can look up the meeting dates. And then they do live. MUCC does live stream the meetings.
Yeah, on that Thursday they'll live stream it.
Yep.
Okay.
I would, and on that note, I would highly recommend anybody that's never been to a meeting to, if you don't go to the meeting, to live stream the meeting. You learn so much about the process, and listen, I don't want to discount our Natural Resource Commission. Yes, obviously we are very frustrated and have kicked the can down the road a little bit, but they do have a very tough job, and but it is interesting to watch the meetings, and I would highly recommend that. So, but moving forward, so we have that announcement that's going to be made at the meeting. Michigan Deer Hunters, let them go, let them grow. We are going to bring forth a proposal for Zone 3.
Okay.
It would be the balance of Zone 3. Now, there's a couple of different variations that could take place. We are actually entertaining, the DNR has indicated that they would entertain a 3-point on the side APR for Zone 3 instead of a 4-point on the side APR, which some people will lose their minds over. However, we do not want to go through this process again and not have it pass. So unless they can show us, or we can absolutely be certain that we're going to have the support, we are probably going to entertain a 3 on the side.
Okay.
Which I think is a whole lot more sellable. I think you'd have a whole lot more people buy into it, and people that might be on the fence with a 4 on the side, obviously would probably support a 3 on the side. So, and it's still going to be very effective. Guys are still going to have to stop and check how many points a deer has or a buck has. Mm-hmm. And look at the success they're having in the Northwest 12. And I realize that Southern Michigan bucks, we may not protect the 70%, but new data that is being compiled right now shows that a 3 on the side APR is going to protect right around 50%.
It's a step in the right direction.
What's that?
It's a step in the right direction.
Right, and for this to be effective, that's all we have to do. Mm-hmm. All we have to do is protect 50% of the year-and-a-half-old bucks. So it'll still be very effective. It may not be as rapid as a 4 on the side, but it's still going to be effective. And I think moving forward, then, okay, say maybe 5 years from now we do this as a 3 on the side. Maybe 5 years from now we jump it to a 4 on the side after it's a little more widely accepted. So.
Sure.
Anyway, that's kind of where we're at moving forward. So there will be a proposal coming forward. I think that we are going to possibly wait until after the CWD summit, which is in December, before we put that proposal in, because we don't want any distractions. Having submitted the proposal and then have the CWD summit, we just
wait to see where they stand. Yeah.
So the timing of it, I'm not exactly sure, but that is going to be coming forth. So,
mm-hmm.
And then Zone 2, stay tuned. Listen to that. Listen to that.
Listen to the August announcement.
Okay. Well,
all right.
I keep my fingers crossed because I'm in the TB zone.
And it's good. It's good. So, and then they're also the Department of Natural Resources is also meeting with the Department of Ag about TB in August. So maybe the Department of Ag is going to say, hey, we insist. I don't know. I'm not sure where their heads are at.
Well, that's a good question, where their heads are at.
Well, that's kind of what I've heard through the grapevine. I
would have told you if we would have said that 2 weeks ago. I'd have told you where their heads are.
Yeah, right. I'm in contact with a couple of the DNR people up in that area up there.
Mm-hmm.
And for every indication of what I've heard in a project that I'm working on, they want to move forward on these issues and take care of these problems, but their hands are tied. They're thinking outside the box. We're working on some projects, trying to work with them to eradicate this and study this. So I don't think, like Danny said so many times here on the show, people get pissed off because of what's being done, or nothing's being done, but they take it out on the DNR. And the DNR really isn't the ones, it's the NRC that's making these decisions. And the biologists
and the NRC
are trying.
On two counts went against the DNR recommendation.
Right, exactly.
This year.
So that's got to be mind-boggling to them. On a side note, listen, I'm sure that has got to be just mind-boggling to them.
I can assure you, without him saying it directly, that Mr. Mason is scratching his head right now, going, "What? This happened?" So, and that's the other thing, guys. They implement antler point restrictions in the TB zone. We have a pretty sizable group of people in our Let 'Em Go page, our Facebook group. I mean, we have 23. I have every expectation by the time deer season rolls around, we're going to hit 35,000 members. We've added almost 1,000 members in the last month, and I've got at any given time we've got 80 to 100 members waiting in queue to be approved. So it's just going to ramp up from here on out. I mean, right up until deer season. So, but here's the thing: with all the support that we have a large voice, and we can help them. We can encourage people up in the TB zone. Okay, listen, we've got antler point restrictions down. I mean, if they would have, or if they do, we have to, as hunters, step forward and help the DNR. We have to be more proactive and shoot more does. It's going to benefit everybody, and we can do that. But at the same time, if they're asking for partners, then they have to be partners.
Mm-hmm.
So. Mm-hmm. You can't have a partnership be one-sided. So
absolutely,
we're willing to do that, even if it comes down to bringing some guys up there and shooting some does on some state land up there or something, and doing, have a weekend of doe harvest, for 20 guys or whatever. I mean, I realize that that's not going to fix it all, but at least, it would show, hey, we're, this is what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And, just encourage people to harvest does, even throughout the state. If with the antler point restrictions, it's very important because we have to, as we've talked about before on the show, with the CWD issues and whatnot, and the TB, we have to roll our doe herd over every 3 to 4 years. The prevalence in older does is way higher.
Absolutely,
because there's way more of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway.
Well,
so yeah, stay tuned, and I think there's some good things on the horizon. Yeah, we are very disappointed that of their lack of action, but it's not over. And I told them flat out, we are not going away quietly. So
I didn't think so.
Yeah, I didn't think so either.
I am a stubborn dude, and I am not going to sit down and just let this go away.
Well, when you've got good information and
yep.
everything indicates it has been proven to be in your favor, and you can't get it to work, right. It's so frustrating. It's like talking to a signpost when people won't listen. They're so
yep.
ingrained
yep.
into the past
yep.
and what they think
yep.
is right, but in reality, what they've got is bad information.
Right.
Exactly, and that's the thing. I had a meeting with the executive director of MUCC, and and again, there's some good things happening. I mean, we could potentially be partnering with the MUCC, and if we could get MUCC, they've kind of stood on the sidelines and remained neutral in this. And if we could get them to step forward and say, hey, the data is compelling enough for us to step forward and support this, I don't think we're too far away from that. And I told Dan Eckinger, I said, listen, if I didn't believe in my heart that this is where Michigan needed to go, and if I didn't have the data, there's a group of people that know that this is going to work, and we have proof that it works from 12 counties, 13 counties in Michigan. So why are we not doing this statewide? And if I didn't want to have the whole entire state being able to enjoy this, my kids, your kids, my grandkids, your grandkids, this is about the future. It's not about me shooting, a trophy whitetail. That's not what this is about. As a matter of fact, out of frustration this year, I'm going to Saskatchewan for the first time in my entire life on a dream hunt in Saskatchewan. So in October, you stay tuned. I'll be posting some pictures, I hope.
Well, we'll have you on the show for that one. Don't worry.
Well, yeah, and it's something that I've been hearing a lot of, too, is the fact that people are now basically going to boycott buying tags in Michigan, and they're going to start hunting more out of state.
Well, and I don't know if it's going to be. Listen, I'm never going to boycott. I'm not going to not hunt in Michigan,
right?
And there's a lot of people that feel the same way because this is where I cut my teeth. This is where I live. I can't. We have our property up in Newaygo that I have a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in, 40 years worth, and I'm not going to walk away from that. However, what we are contemplating doing is, and everybody has to do this kind of individually, thinking about what their reaction is going to be to this. And what we're kind of thinking is, listen, we're going to buy one buck tag, and we're going to buy one doe tag, and. In years past, I probably would buy 4 tags total. I'd buy my combination tag and 2 doe tags.
Right.
Well, if we have 20,000 members, buy 2 less tags. That's
huge.
I don't have my paperwork in front of me, but it's a substantial amount of money, and enough for them to go.
They're serious about this. Yeah.
Right. And I'm not. And if and if that person decides, hey, they're not going to do that, that's fine. It's got to be an individual decision. But we have thousands of hunters that are extremely unhappy right now and wanting to do something. And so that's kind of what we're making consideration and possibly doing as kind of a not a boycott but a protest.
Protest. Yeah.
So anyway, but again, stay tuned. August, good news.
All right. Well,
how much is a tag? $20?
I think they're $20.
20?
I think they're 20.
Yeah, and then you figure the like the doe permits. Where we're at, we have to apply for doe permits. That's another $5.
Right. So if
just to put in for one.
So let's say I took your number 20,000 at $20 a tag. The first tag, they're going to lose $400,000.
Yep.
That's a sizable little number.
Yeah, and if everybody backed off 2 tags from what they normally would buy, that's almost $1 million.
That's $1 million in a heartbeat. If that doesn't get their attention, I don't know what would.
That will get their attention, and to say that's going, and we're not even saying, hey, that's going to bankrupt the DNR because that's not going to happen. They'll just pull more money out of the general fund or whatever they'll do. However, that's going to make a statement. If all of a sudden they have $1 million lost in revenue, they're going to go, huh?
Yeah, it'll raise some eyebrows.
We don't want to do this again.
Right.
Right.
So.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's take our next break here. We come back. If you get a few minutes, we want to hear what you got planned for this season. If you got a few minutes to spare with us here.
Sure.
All right. Let's step outside. We'll be right back after this.
So what do you do when you've completely redefined the way bows are engineered? When you've reached the pinnacle and the band starts playing your victory song, you start a revolution out of thin air. Introducing the all-new PSE Carbon Air, engineered with true carbon technology to be the lightest high-performance bow in the world. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back, everybody. Third segment of the show. We've still got Lincoln on here with us. And actually, I did forget to ask you one question here we had from one of our viewers.
You actually got two questions, though.
Do we? Okay.
Okay.
And they're both the same thing. Okay, Andy Eberhardt and Billy Hoffman. It's talking about the one buck rule. Billy asked, APRs versus the $1 rule, what are your thoughts? And Andy says that would be a good incentive for the state to go to a $1 rule. What's your position on that? I already know what it is. But for the listeners out there, go ahead and explain where you stand on that.
Okay, well, and I'm gonna. There's kind of a misconception as to that we're like anti-1 tag guys, and we're actually not. We started out this journey 6 years ago, talking to the DNR about different options, and one of those options was 1 tag. Well, 1 tag required in order to get rid of the combination tag. There would have to be legislation brought forth. There would have to be a bill introduced, and it would have to go through legislation. And I can assure you that there is not one legislature in our government of Michigan that would bring a bill forth to take millions of dollars right out of the DNR's annual budget. That is not going to happen. So that being said, we don't need 1 rule. We have solid supporting data from the Northwest 12 counties and actually Northwest 13 counties, including Leelanau, that antler point restrictions are extremely effective at increasing our age structure of our herd, protecting yearling bucks and moving them into the next age class. It's all a numbers game. The more yearling bucks you can protect and bring them to 2 years old, the more 3-year-olds you're going to have, the more 4-year-olds you're going to have. All it is a numbers game. And there were so few of bucks shot on the second tag, and people will argue with me on this, but we have solid data that says 4% of hunters, only 4% of hunters shoot a second buck.
Yep. Which
equates to somewhere in the neighborhood of 28,000 bucks over the entire state of Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Millions of acres of land, 28,000 bucks. It's significant, but it's insignificant.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as we are protecting 1.5-year-old bucks, we don't need 1 rule. We don't need any other season changes. We don't need anything. The only thing that they did in the Northwest 12 was implement an APR. That is it. They didn't change opening day. They didn't change anything. So the reason 1 is not going to be effective in Michigan also is because it doesn't protect half of the yearling bucks. It's only in the 43%, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Which isn't enough. And so the DNR won't accept it anyway because it doesn't meet their 50% requirement.
Right.
So I'm not, like I said, I don't want to have the misconception that we are anti-1 but we are not in favor of 1 because, number one, it's not going to happen. Number two, it's going to remove millions and millions of dollars from the DNR's pocket, which they need desperately. Money, you can say it's all about the money. Well, it is kind of about the money because money is what makes the world go around. I mean, it does.
You are absolutely correct on that.
So without, hunter, and here's another pretty cool little statistic. Deer hunters, I'm talking deer hunters only, generate 60% of the annual revenue for the DNR.
So there you go. That tells you you tick them off, and you lose 60% of that, you're in trouble.
Exactly. And so my question is, why is the NRC and the DNR screwing with us?
Well, I think it's more the NRC than the DNR. I really do. I have that belief. After
it is. But there's been a couple of things that along the way that the DNR has derailed us on. So it's kind of a combined effort. But I'm a lot harder on the NRC right now than I am the DNR because they're at least willing to work with us. And So, and again, there's some good stuff coming forward. So,
well, Andy also asked us another question here. Do you know the percentage of yearling bucks that have 4 points or more? Is there any data on that? I know it's not a lot.
I know that number. I do know that in the southern Lower Peninsula, in Zone 3, that a 4 point on the side antler point restriction would protect about 70% of the yearling bucks.
Okay, all right.
So you could probably do some math and figure that out. But,
okay.
And we have a lot of pushback with people saying, well, what about the big 6 points? And you got to be able to shoot those and call them from the herd and whatever. Well, at some point, maybe it's at 4 years old, whatever. At some point, these mainframe 6 points are going to throw a sticker, or they're going to, and we can't manage our entire deer herd based on a 1 in a million deer.
Right, exactly.
So, So anyway, I don't know what that number is, but
okay,
you could figure it out with that number.
Okay. Well, you alluded now. Let's shift gears a little bit. You alluded to Saskatchewan, but
yes.
Seeing here from Michigan, for anybody that's on Saskatchewan, what are you talking about? That was in the commercial break. So for those of you listening to the podcast, you missed out.
Yeah,
you have to watch the live stream. But looking here at Michigan, what is your deer season looking like? What are you looking at this fall? I mean, we're all kind of ramping up right now.
What are you doing to the property?
Yeah, what's going on?
Well, yeah, we just matter of fact, we just got back. We're actually we had to come down to Fremont to get some reception, and we were spraying fields today. We sprayed. Our 4-AR. Well, I actually did soybeans this year for the first time, and they've been absolutely killing the soybeans. So then the back half of that field now we're rotating into turnips. So we sprayed that. We sprayed some of our hunting plots. I mowed the clover field today, the pine plot. Earlier this year, we did a bunch of hinge cutting. We've really, really worked hard this year trying to increase some bedding cover and natural browse. And, food plots are absolutely, very, very effective, but you can get tons of forage per acre by doing some hinge cutting and some timber stand improvement. And so we've been doing some of that kind of, and in turn what that does is it does take some of the pressure off of your food plots if you have more natural browse. So we kind of have been doing that. We're getting some pretty decent bucks on camera. Nothing like we had last year, but last year it was probably arguably one of our best years as far as shooters. Although I didn't shoot a Michigan buck last year, I passed up some beautiful bucks. So that's where we're at. But of course, I think about every buck that I passed that was 2 years old is dead. But whatever. That's what happens.
That's what happens. Yep.
Yeah, you might be surprised here going into the next month or so. What shows back up? You never know.
Yeah, and that's what I was just going to say. We do. It's funny because we are in the Manistee National Forest, and these bucks come trotting through, and they're checking out some new areas, and they come into our property, and I have seen it so many times where these bucks come and check our property, and then they never leave. We've got everything they need. We've got tons of food. We've got tons of cover. We've got a pond. We've got several watering holes that we've dug throughout the property. I think we'll we should have a pretty decent year, and time will tell. But and again, it's not all about what we shoot. I mean, obviously we hunt because we want to put a nice buck on the ground. But again, I didn't shoot a Michigan whitetail last year, and I had a great year. So
it's not always about putting one on the ground. It's about the whole journey, the experience and what you take away from it at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, and you guys know about my dad shot the biggest buck of his life last year. My nephew killed a great big buck. Well, at least for Laredo County standard, he shot 120-inch 8. My son shot 2 beautiful bucks. I passed up some bucks that I normally would have killed years ago, or maybe even a year or 2 ago.
Right.
So what do you do? It was a great year, and I was able to shoot a buck in Illinois last year, so that was good. So, but this year I'm going to be spending a lot less time in Michigan because I'm going to be going to Saskatchewan in October, and then we'll be on our lease in Illinois the first week of November, first 11 days of November, and then we'll be hunting in opening day of gun season in Michigan, and then we're heading back to Illinois for
you're gonna be busy.
Shotgun season. So.
Now, Saskatchewan, is that going to be a bow hunt or is that a gun hunt?
It's going to be muzzleloader.
Muzzleloader hunt. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't know being further north.
I chose to do the muzzleloader hunt. I could use any weapon, but I'm gonna shoot muzzleloader just because it puts a little bit of a wrinkle in it. It's not flat out a rifle, but it's not it's not a bow. And I'm recovering from shoulder surgery. I had shoulder surgery 5 weeks ago on my left shoulder, rotator cuff, among other things. And so I'm not going to be shooting the compound this year. I'm shooting the crossbow again. But
hey, everybody, Dan Fall. It's Sunday.
Hey, there's Dan.
Crossbow. I'm just like, we're going to shoot the muzzleloader. So
right.
How is that shoulder doing?
Fantastic, actually. I had a couple of little setbacks, but we started strength training last Thursday, and it went really, really good. I am very encouraged. Well, started out a little rough.
Okay, that's what I thought. Cause I thought you saw a post that, you were hurting right out of the gate, and I was like, oh boy.
Oh, that was a mess. That was a mess.
Yeah. Well, at least you're gonna get back out there. That's the important thing. Get it. You've got it mended now, and hopefully you'll be back at it again next year. So.
Yep, for sure.
Well, I'll tell you what. I know you said you were in a hurry, so we're going to let you go. We're bumping up on our last break here, so we appreciate you pulling off on the side of the road and giving us a call.
And just to let everybody know, we talked about it. There will be another Michigan Let 'em Go Summit next year.
That's right.
Yes. Yep. It'll be in April, and then stay tuned for the August meeting and NRC meeting. And I just want to tell you guys I appreciate you having me on the show and the support that you guys have given us. And the fact that you guys actually do indeed care about what is coming from out of the state and the future of deer hunting here. So I appreciate your support and all you guys have done to help the cause. Okay.
I tell you what, anything you need, you just give us a holler.
Hey man, we got to all work together, man. We're all in this together, as they say.
Yes, we are.
All right. Well, Lincoln, we're going to let you go. We're going to step outside and take our last break. And you have a good night, sir.
Hey, you too. Appreciate it, guys.
I shoot PSE because I like one pin to 40 yards.
I shoot PSE for the perfect combination of feel and performance.
I shoot PSE because you can shoot lighter poundage and increase arrow speed.
I shoot PSE for the fastest bows on the planet. I shoot PSE because my livelihood depends on my bow.
I shoot PSE because better engineering makes a better bow.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE. I shoot PSE.
Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back, last segment of the show, and that was a pretty good little talk.
I tell you what, you know what, it is good. It was
Lincoln didn't explode.
He didn't explode. He took. He gave
us hope. There's stuff coming down the pipe.
He did. Andy ordered his thumb release yesterday. Dan, Andy. Yeah, okay.
Dan's had a little problem along with that.
I chucked mine down the stairs.
Did you?
2 weeks ago, I went back to my trigger.
You did?
Yes.
Okay.
I reset myself back to...
An archery reset.
Okay.
All right. So Dan's
throwing
me a curveball here.
That was a good talk. We'll definitely talk to him more. We'll find out what's going to happen in August. That sounds pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Another summit next year. We'll have to figure out when that is so we can attend.
Right on.
But I just got back from a little mini vacation.
Okay.
And lo and behold, I was watching the TV, and they had this outdoor show on.
Okay.
And they were deer hunting, and I was watching the show, and I won't mention the show.
Okay.
Their editing was subpar.
Okay.
But one thing that caught my attention right out of the gate was the importance. Now, this year we're going with Fourth Arrow.
Yep.
Right here. And he had his camera on a tripod, on an arm.
On an arm, a camera arm.
A camera arm.
Okay.
And every time he moved it, it squeaked.
Right.
And from what I can tell, this ain't going to do that.
No, and I can tell you why. It's a difference between what's called a fluid head and just a friction head. A friction head is going to make noise, especially the colder it gets. What you're working with is plastic against metal or plastic against plastic when you pan left or right or tilt up and down. With this head here that I've got on this one here, it's a Manfrotto. For those of you who don't know, that may be watching for the first couple of times, I work at a TV station here locally in Flint, and it's my profession. So when I get gear, I spend the extra money to make sure I get something good. And a Manfrotto head is really nice. It's a fluid head, which means it's basically fluid driven. When you're moving this back and forth, there's little orifices in there that allow this fluid to move back and forth, and you can either create resistance or you can lessen the resistance, and it makes it what we call a fluid motion. For those of you on the podcast, obviously you're having a hard time. You can't see this, what Dan's holding up here,
but here is what I think cost him
$1.
A good shot at $1.
Okay.
He ended up getting the $1.
Okay.
But every time he moved
he'd pan
his
the camera.
you hear eat,
yep,
or click or whatever it was.
Yep.
But every time he was trying to follow that deer, you could hear it.
Right.
Luckily for him, the rut was on, and it was early November.
Okay.
And the buck didn't care really too much. The buck was more interested in the does. But that just, I wanted you to point that out to people, because if you're going to be filming your own hunts,
and it's not only just the head. If you look at this joint right here, for those of you who are on the live stream, this joint where these two arms meet, there's a bushing inside there. And I'm moving that right now, right over top of the mic, and you cannot hear that.
You can't hear a thing.
The way this is made, it can pivot and move. And that's key, especially that was my hand squeaking on it, by the way, when I moved there. But that's the key to difference in buying gear and buying good gear. And for the price of what the Fourth Arrow camera arm is, it's very, very economical for what you get. This is a carbon fiber, so you also lose weight. You don't have that heavy weight.
And you put that in your backpack and away you go, right?
Yeah. Well, and there's so many different things with this. And, and once we get this out in the field this year, we're gonna shoot some video with this and show the difference, and what we used last year versus this year. But, yeah, it's huge when you're trying to film your own hunt. And we're not talking for TV quality. We're talking for guys who they want to shoot their own hunt. They want to videotape it, or their kid or their spouse or whoever. And
what I'm trying to point out is, for people, I know some people have a budget, that's fine, but this could cost you the potential. The squeaking, they'll pick it right up.
Yeah. Well, and if you look right here, and we're talking about the head. Danny wanted me to put that arm on, the actual tilt arm on it, but it doesn't fit this tripod. But as you can see here, I'm rocking this tilt head back and forth.
You don't hear a thing.
There's nothing there. There's fluid, and you can tell it's smooth. The same with the pan right here. The same way. But the camera arm, as well, like I said, that joint right there, it's not just the camera arm. It's not just the camera head. It's the whole system. The whole system has to work together.
Exactly. So. And it was just, I was watching this segment. They were showing, he ended up getting the deer. He shot a 30-yard shot. He was really nervous a little bit back, but he found the deer. But it was just, it could have been he could have blown it a lot bigger if this buck wouldn't have been so much into the rut, to me.
Yeah, it could have been a lot easier shot. He made it harder than what it should have been.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, I just saw that this morning, and I had to ask you. That was one of the things it's like, wow.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
There you go. All right.
That's it. That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, exactly. Pay a little bit more money, and plus that's not going to wear out anytime soon.
No, it's carbon fiber. At least the arm is. The Manfrotto head. I've used them for years.
Yeah, you've had those as long as I can remember.
It's good gear. And actually that head right there you can buy at Cabela's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you go over to their optics counter.
Right, and it's right there.
Yeah, where the binoculars and rangefinders are.
Yep.
And and if you in a smaller Cabela's and they don't have it, you can order it online. So Manfrotto. That's what we use.
Exactly. So, you know what? That's a great tip for everybody.
We got official word this week that we're going to be able to live stream from Cabela's on August 3rd.
We're going to be there for the grand opening. On August 3rd.
Yeah.
I do believe the grand opening is at 10 a.m.
Yep.
So we'll get down there a little bit before and give everybody the opportunity to watch live.
To watch and see what's going on and how many people are lined up out the door for all the goodies.
Right, and they're going to have somebody from the store do the opening shoot.
Do we know who that is yet?
No, I have not heard.
Okay.
I have an idea who it might be, but
yeah,
I think, but I'm surprised at that. But you know what? It is what it is. And Jetson just a little over 3 weeks? 2 weeks?
2 weeks away, I think.
2 weeks?
August 3rd. It's a Thursday.
Yes, it's a Thursday. And then we'll be down there the 5th and 6th.
Yep.
So
actually, I'm going to get a little preview to everything on August 1st.
There you go.
I got my little invite in the mail, VIP invite. So for the VIP card.
Oh yeah.
You get to go in. You can. It's. I think it's 9 to 9 that day for those people. If you've got the invitation.
Right.
And I think I'm going to go down that
Good.
morning just so I can get a lay of the land.
Absolutely. Get down there and go introduce yourself.
So, maybe some giveways or whatever. Who knows?
I'm sure there are.
Come back with a little swag. You know me. I like swag.
Yeah, you do. You like your swag. But other than that,
you were up north this week?
I was up north this week taking in the touristy things and just relaxing. It was really nice. The weather was phenomenal. I mean, there was no humidity. Did it get to 80? I don't know.
That's what's nice about up there. It's just pleasant.
This
time of year.
Cool thing. And I'm sure you've been up there plenty of times and you've seen this happen. But we are going to cross the Mackinac Bridge. Well, we got there. We ate at Wienerlicious.
Yeah, you got to like Wienerlicious.
That's right. And so we're eating, right? Okay, so let's go to St. Ignace. So we got on the highway and it's a dead stop.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's going on? The fog rolled in. Mm-hmm. And it is so cool when that happens.
Couldn't see the bridge.
Couldn't see the bridge. So everybody had to stop, of course, because they don't know what they're driving off into.
Right. I actually saw a photo of that somebody took from Mackinac City looking at the bridge, and all you could see was the two towers sticking up out of the fog. It's pretty cool.
And you know what? As we were on top of the bridge, I think we were on the downward side. If you looked over towards Mackinac Island, you saw a cloud. Mm-hmm. It was that thick. It formed a cloud. It was so cool.
It is. It's a neat place.
It is. So, but no, me and Deb got up there and just took it easy for a few days and just kicked back and
right on,
recharge the batteries and come back down here and go back at it.
Got on the bike for the first time this summer.
How was that?
Excruciatingly painful.
Oh,
I put it off too long.
Yeah,
been busy, but guy I work with, he's been riding religiously for the last 2 or 3 months. And he comes in every day and he brags about how far he rode. And I know what he's doing. He's trying to shame me into getting back on my bike.
He did it.
And he did it. Yeah, I woke up Thursday morning and woke up that morning and it was in my head. He showed me a picture of somebody who was riding, I don't know if it was Tour de France.
No.
It was one of the legs of the 16th stage of the race. And they showed his legs after the race, how dehydrated he was and how excruciatingly painful his legs looked. It was a horrible picture.
Ooh.
And I thought, you know what? If somebody can ride, I can get my butt out of bed. So the next morning I woke up, and like every morning that I planned on going riding, I'm like, I don't feel good. I don't want to ride. And I looked outside. Weather was pretty decent. Stuck my head outdoors. Weather was, it wasn't hot. I went back upstairs, threw my shorts on. Like, if I don't start now, I'm not going to start. I've got to start. So
right.
I went out and put 6 miles on, I got to about the half-mile mark. My knee started aching, excruciatingly painful. I got to about the 1.5 mile mark. The pain went away. I'm like, okay, I got them broke in now.
Yeah.
Got them lubricated. I can ride now. So the next thing was my rear end on that hard seat. It hurt, but I already had a predetermined loop that I was going to run. I was going to run about 4.5, 5 miles, and I had a turn to make. I was on a dirt road, and I could either go all the way down to the dead end of that road at the freeway and turn around and come back and then make my turn, or I could simply turn and go home. And I'm like, no pain, no gain. I said, you're going to push it today, And when I hit that 4.5 mile mark, I was pretty waxed, and I just buckled down and did it.
There you go.
And yeah, 6 miles was pretty hard for me.
But you got out and did it.
I got out and did it. I was going to actually ride this morning. We had a couple things we had to take care of, but this week that's my goal. Is to try to ride twice this week. I got back home from the ride and grabbed the bow and immediately went out and shot.
There you go.
And I shot 3 or 4 rounds of 5 at 50 yards. Everything was at 50 yards.
Okay.
I was pretty pleased with my shooting.
There you go.
Wasn't perfect, but my groupings are tightening up, and I think a couple things I'm going to start trying to work through. Stabilizer. Charles Byron from Iowa asked. He says, "I see you're not running a stabilizer," and I'm still fighting that left shot. A lot of my shots, probably half of them are just an inch and a half out of the bull. I mean, yeah, we're talking 50 yards,
right? Yeah,
but still, I'm consistently shooting just to the left, and and I'm wondering, do I rock a stabilizer or not? So him and I were actually talking back and forth on Facebook after the live stream I did, kind of working through some of those little issues and talking about it. And somebody else said, "Man, your bow sounds loud. Sounds loud when you shoot." I thought, huh?
Really?
I didn't think about that a lot. I didn't notice anything. I went back and listened to the video because the camera was behind me when I'm shooting.
Okay.
And it's like, you can hear it. It's a big pop. And I'm like, is there something loose on the bow? I had an appointment to be at Spot Shooter Archery to shoot some video for Jim Beasley. Put the bow in the case, took it over there. "Jim, something's going on here. Don't know what it is." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Listen to this." So I played the video for him. And you hear the pop, pop. And he started looking at it and checking stuff. Everything was tight. And he looked at the flipper rest, and he says, "I wonder," he says, he started flipping the rest. And it started to come down, and it started smacking the riser. And it's pop, pop, pop.
Oh, it was...
So he put a piece of felt on the riser.
And then it went away.
It's quiet. It's quieter. I haven't actually took it out and shot it yet to compare, but...
That's the code red, right?
No, I'm shooting a QAD. Same one you've got.
Oh, okay, yes.
QAD drop away. So the flipper was coming down and smacking the riser. It is just enough to make a little noise. But you know what? It could cause a deer to string jump.
If it's something that easy to put a piece of felt down to take care of it,
why not do it?
Exactly.
So that's what we did. And next time I shoot, we'll see what happens.
All right, and we'll be waiting for that mystical flight of the arrow.
Day 9 coming up.
There you go.
I was going to shoot today. Like I said, I was going to shoot today. My son went back to college today, so today was kind of dedicated to him.
There you go.
Hanging out and, hanging with him and making sure he got everything packed and got back to school. So
there you go.
But that's all I got, man.
Yeah, that's it, man. I was just glad we got Lincoln to get within range.
Yeah.
Considering what he's gone through with his shoulder surgery first, and then the vote, but
he didn't spontaneously combust.
No, and I think we're going to be hearing a lot more from him in the next year.
Hope so. Hope
like
it's
I
all
said,
good news.
Anything we can do to help, we'll get him on.
Absolutely. This weekend is Archery Classic at Cabela's.
Yes.
So make sure you guys stop in at your local Cabela's. Got sales going on, all kinds of specials for the archery season. I will be at Dundee, Michigan store for Vortex Optics, working the counter. Stop back in the hunting and optics department and say hello if you're in the area. So
there you go.
That'll be Saturday
and
Sunday.
You know what that means? It's starting that time.
Absolutely. It's getting there.
It is. I can't wait.
So, and then the week after that is the grand opening.
It is.
I can't wait, man. I am so pumped for that.
I'm excited.
All right, guys. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. That'll do it for us this week. Remember, if you guys are out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next time on the Up North Journal. This episode was brought to you by PSC Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows, Killer Food Plots,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Antler Action,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
Tom's Custom Turkey Calls,
and Badass Slingshots.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal.